connected with San Diego State football. Basketball is coming up as well. But for football here, 3-3 heading into the Washington State matchup. Is this where you expected San Diego State to be at this point? Losses, obviously, with I think their two bigger opponents, Oregon State, Cal. What have you seen so far from Sean Lewis, Danny O'Neill? And then just, is this where you expected them to be?
And I'm biased. So to be fair, I am biased, but I'm pleasantly, I don't know if pleasantly surprised is the right term. I've enjoyed watching them progress. And I thought if you would have asked me at the beginning of the year, would they be 3-3 through 6 games or have a chance to maybe get to 6 wins overall? I'd be like, yeah, I mean, I could have seen a wide window of as few as 3 or 4 wins based on the schedule with Oregon State, Washington State, Boise State, Air Force heading into the year. They've been very down. And so on and so forth. Like there were some tough games in there, even going to Wyoming. That's not traditionally a place that's easy to play on the road at elevation. Going to Utah State traditionally wouldn't be easy to play at elevation. So considering everything, I think Aztec fans should be pleased with where they are, especially considering the last 3 games have all been really entertaining and all quote unquote winnable. And they've won 2 of them. They beat Hawaii at home, came back from a 4th quarter deficit, beat Wyoming on the road, came back from a 7-point 4th quarter deficit, should have beaten Central Michigan, didn't because they missed a couple of field goals, but I still see opportunities on the other side. I think Washington State, Boise State, UNLV are all tough. We'll see if they can somehow get one of those. I think the best opportunity might be Washington State at home, coming up off a bye week. And then you have New Mexico, Air Force, and I'm missing one other game, and Utah State. So, you either go perfect in those 3 to get to 6 wins, or you win 2 of those 3 and maybe steal a game against Washington State in an effort to get to 6 wins. But they're 2-0 in the Mountain West. I think Danny O'Neill keeps getting better. I think the offense is progressing. I think they're showing improvement. So I think if you're an Aztec fan, you should be encouraged based on having a first-year head coach and a team that's getting better in the first half of the season, hopefully continues to improve in the second half of the season.
One more one that I thought about right now. Where do you see this team like realistically being here in a few years down the road? Do you think that it's realistic for them to be, top 25 around there once they get into the new Pac-12?
100%. I think there's factors at play. Actually, I think there's some similarities with something like the San Diego Padres, where the Padres will never be consistently the top spender. Now, they sat there for a year or two, a credit to Peter Seidler and the organization and the family, and they're still going to sit top half in payroll, but they're very rarely, I think we would all agree, be sitting 1, 2, or 3 at this point moving forward. Maybe it pops up again in the future, but you got to assume you're going to be in that 10, 12, 14 range, which should be good enough, and teams can win in that spot. I think there's some similarities. Again, Power 5, Group of 5, there's even more of a separation. So can you put yourself in a position where you've got the resources necessary to compete at the top of the quote-unquote Group of 5 or outside of the power leagues? I think San Diego State is committed to do that. When you look at the investment in head coaches like Sean Lewis, resources like Snapdragon Stadium, NIL is going to be a factor, but it is for all programs. And they're going to have to do a nice job of holding on to the top of their talent pool. Someone like Trey White, who leads the nation in sacks, Danny O'Neill, their freshman quarterback, and so on and so forth. But I really believe that San Diego State has the resources outside the Power 5 to compete at a very high level. Will it be easy in the new Pac-12? No. I mean, I think Oregon State, Washington State are well-resourced, Boise State the same way. But San Diego State would prefer to align with programs that are doing everything in their power to throw resources at it and win than not. So I'm very optimistic. I mean, it's not – college football is a tough it's a tough game to play, so to speak, right? It's very uneven, a little bit like Major League Baseball, where you could have a team that spends $20 million on payroll compete against a team that spends $400 million in payroll, yet the team that spends $20 million is capable of beating a team that spends $400 million. So my point is it's uphill. It's quote-unquote unfair, but I feel like San Diego State under Sean Lewis with the investments is positioned to vie towards the top of something that's outside the Power 5, if that makes sense.